Hello, people. We're going to be reacting to Christian parents crash out after their kids leave religion. Now, for those of you that don't know, I my dad's the religious one, but then again, my own father is a fucking idiot. And my mother used to be like call herself a Catholic, but now she doesn't identify with any faith. She's completely done. She's gone through two marriages and two failed marriages, and she had two kids. Me, I came from my own father. My brother, he came from his own dad. But my brother and I came from the same mother, just different dads. I once called Steven my half brother, but he's not my half brother. He's he's my brother. We come from the same mother. Now he's the stepson to my dad. But anyway, for people out there, for families out there that, especially like black families and white families, if you really, you raise your kids with this Christian horse shit, and you expect them to believe everything it says is accurate and true and whatnot, from Genesis all the way to Revelation. Now, given that it's 2025 compared to 2005, me, I wore crosses, but I was forced to wear them. But what's around my neck, I am more free than I have ever been. I am more free. And when it comes to Christians, especially those that are very strict, shame on you. Shame on you for forcing your children to worship the same thing that makes you feel good about yourself. This that goes against your children's First Amendment right. Literally. Without further ado, let's get into this.
God. She don't want me praying for her or none of that.
She don't think you understand what she's saying.
I do understand what she's saying.
You don't think you understand her.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first thoughts when I was telling my own parents that I didn't believe in God anymore was also like, oh, this was a mistake because this reaction is like not acceptable,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, like what I'm seeing here is that I don't know how she told her, but like in any way that you like tell a parent, "Oh, I don't believe in God," the appropriate and like emotionally mature response is not to like kind of throw a fit.
That's the thing, and he's actually right. Christians, adult Christians, throw a fucking temper tantrum. To any Christian families out there, you have no right to bitch or complain about how your children will be when it comes to their critical thinking. You expect, every single Christian family out there expects their children to worship the same thing they do. Here's the thing. Christians gloat and claim that their deity, that their God is all perfect. That is false. If their God was if their God was all perfect, humans would be all perfect, and humans are far from perfect. We are flawed. We are imperfect. Imperfect. And that basically means their God is imperfect and has a lot of flaws. Now, all loving, not all loving. Humans can be more. There are humans on this planet that could be more loving than their God. Their God is not all loving. If you read the Old Testament to the New Testament, the God that they follow is two-faced, good and bad. We humans are the same way. We can have good traits and we have bad traits. That's what makes us flawed. All knowing. Their God is not all knowing. Are we all knowing? No.
And be like, oh well, you don't want me to even pray for you. You don't care about anything. And like I don't know. I think that a lot.
Like Christians preach that their God can do this and do that. Their God can't stop hate, racism, bigotry, hypocrisy, and their God cannot cure cancer. And cancer is the number one thing, and their God cannot cure that. Their God cannot take it away. That's science and medicine. Medicine and science was demonized a long time ago, centuries ago, in the time of the Salem witch trials. Christians killed a lot of women back then because they practiced medicine. Christianity is a cult. Christianity, my mother told me that a long time ago. Christians would demonized Cabbage Patch Kids. And then we got fucking Christians on TikTok demonizing those Labubu dolls. And then, not to mention, they also demonized Yu-Gi-Oh, the trading card game. I am sorry. No, I am not sorry for saying this, because I am going to say this. If your religion demonizes everything, your religion is evil. Every single kid grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh. It was the most popular card game back then. Why? Because I still have one. Now, Cabbage Patch Kids and Labubu dolls, you cannot demonize dolls that are meant to be toys for children. Same thing with Labubu dolls. Just because they have a sinister grin on their face does not mean they are evil. Christians are evil, and so are their actions.
A lot of the time we encounter less emotional maturity than should be exhibited by adults, especially a parent of like a grown kid.
Yeah. My first thought is her lashes are lashing.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, it kind of seems like her mom is a little bit in denial and saying, like, no, she.
Maybe
Watch
YouTube
this
back
one.
in like 2010
Oh,
at the
wow.
latest.
You're
Watch this one.
an atheist. Give me a fucking break, Michael.
This is the most immature thing this mother could ever do to her son. Watch.
All right, you know what? We need to start going to church every week. I've had it with this.
Bitch, please. I've been to St. Joseph's like several times. I prayed, and yet your God was not there. Here's the thing. In Christian mythology, or in Christian theology, Christians say that Jesus Christ is their God, and that Jesus created everything. That is blasphemy in Christian theology. You cannot say that Jesus and God are the same, because they are not. You saying that, therefore, basically blasphemies yourself and your family and your beliefs. There is two passages that you can look up. And one says, bow down to me, for I am your God. And then it's in Jesus, this is supposed to be the sole Son of God, the so-called Son of God, says the exact same thing. But if you go back and Google, how many times was the Christian Bible copied and rewritten? It'll tell you it was rewritten a lot of times.
I don't believe in God.
Bullshit. You got yourself confirmed, and you said to the bishop,
Ugh.
Yeah, a lot can happen. You can think.
oh, a lot can happen. All of a sudden, you can just quit believing in God?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there is no God.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. You want to know there's no God? Then you're going to...
Look at this. This mother could literally be acting a lot better, but now she's throwing a temper tantrum. Like a child, she's throwing a temper tantrum in front of her son, all because her son's an atheist. This is exactly why your son's an atheist, because of your attitude. Lady, I don't know who you are, but you really need to get your fucking priorities straight. Christians like this, Christian parents like this, especially the fucking mothers, this is why your religion is dying, because of your attitude.
to get absolutely nothing.
Oh my
nothing
God.
for Christmas, because that's what Christmas is about, is Jesus Christ.
Okay, first of all, that is entirely false. Scholars these days, even today, mind you, are still debating when Jesus was born. He could have been born between 4 to 5, what? BCE or BC or AD, something like that. They don't even know. But the thing is, check this out. The 25th of December that the Christians say is supposed to be Jesus' birth, it's not. They took that from the Yule calendar. December 25th is actually Yule. Every single holiday that Christianity has, it's all pagan. It's all pagan holidays. Easter, Halloween, Christmas, well, I don't know if Thanksgiving's a pagan holiday, but let's just put it as a pagan holiday, as kind of a pagan holiday. But I guess you could say it's more like a cornucopia. I remember hearing that. Cornucopia. Yeah, that's a pagan holiday, for what I remember. It's kind of hard, too, to figure that out. But yeah, there's 4 holidays. There's Yule, Easter, and there's also summer, and there's spring. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm burning off dinner. But yeah, this woman right here, the mother that's getting up in her son's face, lady, you are very much in the wrong. And you should not be behaving like that.
Okay.
No, it's not okay, Michael.
Oh my God.
That woman is pretty much fringing on her son's First Amendment right.
God.
Yeah. That, and I would
And I just now am seeing that necklace. That's that's the sigil of Lucifer. That's it's supposed to be associated with Satan or the devil, but Luciferianism doesn't really believe Lucifer as the devil or Satan. So, yeah. You can tell, because at first I was like, wait, what is that? But that's exactly what it is. The sigil of Lucifer.
say that is
I actually have one hanging, but it's not that big. It's actually made out of powder metal, and it's about the size of my thumb. It's hanging on my necklace that has a goat meal in there that I have.
actually a pretty reflective experience of what or a pretty reflective video of what a lot of people do experience. Like getting up in your
Yeah.
face and yelling at you.
Or at least the yelling part.
And like, I'm going to punish you. And even being like, not just emotionally, but kind of physically aggressive and
Yeah.
posturing in that way. I'm really, really
Like, Christians are supposed to be good people,
like,
and this is how they act. So, no, they're not good. They're not good people. They're evil, actually. They are.
proud of him for being like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
fine then, you know, and like actually speaking up a bit.
Yeah, that video gave me anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's just like you were confirmed or whatever, you went through confirmation or
Yeah.
you said you believed in God before. And
Like Christians say that the Bible is everything and it proves God exists or their God exists. It doesn't. There's scientific evidence that there is no God like the Christian God. Stephen Hawking even said that there is no Christian God at all. When I first heard that, back before I was even like a heathen, I didn't like it. But now that I'm a devout heathen of my faith and that I have Lucifer in my circle of the other gods, I pretty much agree. How can there be, like, ask yourselves, if you're like 18 years old or 19 years old, ask yourselves this question, whether you're female or male, it doesn't matter. How Christians say that there is a God. How can there answer? Ask your parents this question. You say that the Christian God exists. Well, answer this question. If if God does not exist, then everything is permissible. And if your parents get pissed off at that, repeat it again and again. Repeat it over and over until they answer the damn question. Because the truth is in the pudding right there. If God does not exist, then everything is permissible. Meaning, everything that's bad that happens on our planet that we live on, it happens. So therefore, like rape, molestation, sexual assault, those kind of things, there is no God that stops that. There isn't. That's why their God never existed.
what, now you just like suddenly don't believe in God? And it's like people change their minds
Yeah.
about stuff all the time. And actually, it's kind of a sign that you're like a mature and self-actualized person if you're willing to kind of change your position on things, because it shows that you're like sitting there evaluating and analyzing things that you believe.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's just like she wants her child to be exactly who they were when they were
A
young.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is not okay with the fact that they're a grown adult that has their own opinions and feelings about stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like, unfortunately, a very common thing. I feel like a common like dynamic between parents of that generation and their children is that they want to live in a fantasy world where like their child is exactly how they envisioned that they would be,
Yeah.
rather than having a genuine relationship with their actual child. And
Yeah.
it's like super sad.
The funny thing here is when she brings up confirmation, he goes, yeah, a lot can happen in, and I'm assuming he means like in, several years. He says, you can think.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You should be thinking.
And like the fact that she wants to punish him into believing in God,
Yeah, like, that's
shows
gonna work.
how incredibly immature.
Like if I had a father, like I have a dad who's like religious, but here's the thing, and I hope he sees this because of how much of a dick he is. Hey dad, if you call yourself a Catholic, here's the thing. Last year from March to April, when it came to the total solar eclipse, my father believed the sound of the horn that was blowing in the video that I sent him. And he said, I believe it's a calling. And then when the rapture stuff was happening a year after, he said, nah, my father said this, nah, the rapture ain't happening. The rapture is not real. It's funny because my father says those two different things. One, he says the from the trumpet sound in the video, which obviously was fake. He said, I believe it's a calling. And then he turns around and says, nah, the rapture ain't happening, son. It's a little horse shit. I don't believe in it. It really speaks on how stupid he is. And if my dad sees this if my dad is watching YouTube and he sees this, listen to this, Dad. You're a fucking dickwad. You're a dick. And you're the reason why I am the way that I am. So fuck you.
Her relationship with religion is. And like, I'm sorry, but that is extremely common. And a lot of these people do, like a lot of those people who even have a really immature relationship like with God or with religion in the first place will use the like no true Scotsman, like, oh, well, that bad person that says they're Christian, well, they're not a true Christian. And yet they'll also do these things. Like that's common.
Yeah.
Hey, I wondered if you have a video or can make a video of how to come out to your parents as an atheist. There is not much advice that I can give you on this one, unfortunately. My, success with, trying to get my mom to accept that I believe different beliefs has, been no. I have made absolutely no progress with her, and I have been, deconstructed from Christianity for about 2 to 3 years now, and all she does is try to, pull me back into it. She just thinks, that I'm just gonna come back one day, or that, I'm just...
There's a passage that you can Google, and it's in the Christian Bible that was literally written by Christians themselves, no God. And it basically says, if people or the person is not interested in learning about Christianity, move on. Don't constantly patronize them. But no, they don't. That's the thing. Christians like preach this and preach that, but they've never even read their book.
Lost, and it's like I'm watching my mom grieve me while I'm still alive. I'm watching my mom, accept that, I'm going to hell and I'm living by Satan and all these things. And I quite literally had to separate myself from my mother. So I don't know, maybe our moms are different and maybe yours would be, or your parents would be more understanding. But from my experience, I don't think my mom will ever accept that I believe differently. I think that she is going to, try to get me to convert to the day she's gone. And it's heartbreaking, it's like trying to talk to a wall. It's like trying to reach somebody that doesn't want to be reached. So yeah, this is something that I've kind of, had to accept, and is a huge motivator on why I, talk about things that I do, because I see the potential damages that it can and has caused.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a lot of people ask me for advice on like dealing with their relationship with their parents, or just relationships that they have in real life, and how to navigate that now that they've left or deconstructed Christianity. And I feel like I can relate to this person here in that, like, I feel like I don't have a lot of good advice, because one, every single situation is going to be different, and like I can't speak to everyone's situation.
Yeah.
But also it's like the track record, not necessarily for myself, but just the track record I see with a lot of other people who left Christianity dealing with their parents. It's like there really isn't a best way to handle it.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for anyone to do is kind of protect their own peace and establish boundaries that are going to be healthy and work for them, and realize that they have, inherent value that's like not attached to how their parents or their family sees them. And I think that's really all you can do, is just like protect yourself and not necessarily worry about how they're going to react to things, because usually they're not going to react that well. And that like that's not a reflection on anything that you're doing.
Yeah. I think one of the things you have to do, especially if you're raised like kind of evangelical, is you have to be prepared for a permanent relationship change. Like,
yeah,
it's unfortunately something that, I mean, not for everybody, but it's really common to, tell your parents this, and it's something that can't be unsaid. They can't unhear that, and they can't look at you the same way anymore. Mm-hmm. It will permanently change the way they relate to you. And sometimes it's completely like a personal moral failing of the parents. Yeah. And then sometimes it is, they have just so thoroughly internalized like the reality of heaven and hell and salvation and stuff like that, that they look at their own kid and they see like an empty husk that's just gonna like go to hell.
Yeah.
And like, of course, they still, I think that most parents, even if they feel that way, like they love their child, but they have been so groomed and indoctrinated themselves that they can't get over this, like these lenses that they wear to where they can only see somebody who's like explicitly not Christian as like damned or like immoral or like lacking fundamentally in what makes you like valuable, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's really sad when he said that he felt like his mom, I think, was like grieving the loss of him as a person while he was still alive.
Yeah.
And like that's really not a great feeling to have as a child when you're like, I'm literally right here. I'm still the child that you love. I still, am the same person. It's just I don't believe exactly the same way that you believe, and like there's no need for you to like grieve a loss that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And to add to what you were saying about, being prepared for your relationship to change. Yeah, I think that you should definitely be prepared for that and like take into account that that is something that very likely could happen. But I also think that that shouldn't be something that's discouraging you from having that conversation with your family, because the alternative is to basically put on a mask and be a different person around them, which is going to take a whole different toll on you. And I mean, every situation is going to be different. For some people, maybe it really just is better that they just fake it around their family. Maybe they only see them for like the holidays.
Or maybe they're financially dependent on them.
Yeah, there could be a lot of reasons for that. But also consider like, holding all of that in and pretending to be somebody that you aren't actually in reality.
Yeah.
That can also like have a very big toll on you as a person too.
All right, so this next one is actually a mock coming out video made by a Christian account.
Oh.
And you'll see why he decided to do that.
Ugh, okay.
Hey, Dad, I don't believe in God.
What? You're grounded. You're gonna go in there and read this until you do.
Look, most of you know I'm a Christian, and if my kids said that to me, it would break my heart. But if you think acting like that is gonna bring them back to Jesus, please think again.
Okay, that's pretty good so far, right? I think that's not too bad.
See, that's the problem with most Christians. We want to force.
That's really good, right?
Yeah.
That's actually believable for what he just said. I mean, that's not far from the truth. That is literally what they do.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like really good, because I still see him like, that's not going to bring your children back to Jesus, as if that should be like a goal that you have as a parent. I think as a parent, you should want to just your children to believe in and do whatever makes them happy.
Yeah.
Within reason, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. Well, yeah, here's where the shoe drops.
Okay.
And that means love the unlovable, love the difficult. That's how you show somebody Jesus. Do better.
Bruh.
So you're saying that your children are unlovable and difficult if they say they don't believe in God?
Yeah. He's like,
damn
Christians, I want to
southerner.
encourage you to love your kids even when they're pathetic and gross and we shouldn't love them. That's what Christians are called to do, is love the fundamentally unlovable and broken. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I've said this so many times, like in my career. It doesn't matter how many times pastors or evangelists or whoever says, Christians, be nice to atheists.
Yeah.
Because if you see atheists as so fundamentally other that they're not even like worthy of love in the first place, and that you're doing them a charity to even care about them, you don't see them as human in the same way that you see Christians as human, and that will always lead to mistreatment.
Yeah,
like,
'cause
this advice will lead to mistreatment.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because like in the first clip, or like the first little scene, he was like pretending to be really mad and like be like, what, you don't believe in God? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's better if you're not yelling, but if you still are saying that your child is unlovable and difficult and like being a bad person because they don't believe the same thing as you do, that's like a reflection on how poor of a parent that you are. That like something that small that like really ultimately shouldn't matter or get in the way of your relationship is something that your fundamentally allowing to change your perspective on your child. Like, that's really, really messed up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that like gets in the way of functional relationships between like atheist or agnostic or deconstructed Christian or whatever, like not evangelical Christian kids and their evangelical parents, is that the evangelical parents prioritize them and their entire family having a very specific religious orientation over everything else, including the relationships with their own kids. And like if you think that, if you prioritize things that way, if you prioritize very specific beliefs over people,
Yeah.
then you're always going to dehumanize.
Yeah.
You know, there's like kind of like an atheist church kind of network. You don't have to be an atheist to go there, but it's kind of like an atheist church called Oasis. And one of their slogans is people are more important than beliefs.
Yeah.
So you can
that's
go
great.
there and like be whatever religious orientation there. And as long as you are treating people there well,
Well, I'm
then
sure
it works.
there are some beliefs, like if you're like a Nazi or something, I'm sure that they're
Yeah, that probably
they're not down with that.
that probably wouldn't work.
But that's like a like inherently like you're dehumanizing
Right.
and marginalizing other people. So
yeah. But I mean, I think that the orientation that a lot of us end up having is thinking like, well, people are more important than beliefs. And that's kind of like an incompatible thing with belief over people mindsets that a lot of evangelicals have,
Yeah.
even when they're our own parents.
And it's kind of like they're constantly trying to fix something that is just like inherently broken.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, well, you can just tweak this to be a little better. Or you can just tweak this to make it better and like just change your tone of voice when you're talking to your child. And that will completely change. And it's like, or maybe just like don't do this at
Yeah.
all. Like, why is that not an option?
Don't make them a project at all.
Yeah, like
just have a relationship with them.
Don't care about them believing the exact same thing that you do. Like, why is that never an option? They're constantly just trying to like fix something that like is just not fixable. Like the whole thing, the whole system is like fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the whole system of them wanting to like convert their kid and seeing their kid as
Yeah,
unhuman,
yeah.
not that like their kid being a like non-believer, that's like fucked.
Oh no. Like
Yeah.
them trying to like convert their child is fucked.
Right. All right. This one's long, but it's a good story, I think. I edited it a little bit just to get through it more quickly,
Okay.
but yeah, it's an interesting one.
Okay.
Let me tell you the story about the time when I decided to tell my parents, who are evangelical Christians, that my husband and I are both atheists when we were out to eat at a restaurant. And before you start criticizing me hearing that intro, was it the best decision? No. But does it justify their actions or behaviors afterwards? Also, no. Those are their responsibility. So like many people who grow up evangelical and decide to leave the church for a multitude of reasons, I really started my deconstruction journey in like, I want to say 2016, 2017. It was my last year at a Christian university. Trump was campaigning for election, and I was watching around as all of these so-called Christians who followed and worshipped Jesus chose to vote for somebody who was causing irreparable harm to the groups of people that Jesus called us to support the most. And that's when I first really started to see this hypocrisy, and things started to break down for me. But I would say by 2020, I definitely was like fully deconstructed in that I did not really believe any of Christianity anymore.
How relatable is that? Like, I feel like that's a
Yeah, that pretty much like sums a lot of it. The people that call themselves Christians and they voted for the man that's literally making America a fucking joke. Yeah, go fuck yourselves.
super common experience was
Yeah.
that people saw the hypocrisy of Christians like not.
And if you're an evangelist and you see this and you're a Trump supporter, if you see this, if you're a Trump supporter / evangelist Christian and you're seeing this and you're getting triggered and going into the comments and typing the most ugliest things to me, cry me a fucking river, dipshits. You're fucking snowflakes.
Caring about human rights or the continued existence of poor people.
Yeah.
And in 2016, 2017, and that was like, oh, that hits you harder than any argument against the existence of
Yeah.
God. Like the hypocrisy, the moral hypocrisy of the people who you used to think like cared about other humans because of Jesus.
Yeah, definitely. She mentioned telling her parents this at a restaurant, and she's saying like, "Oh, that wasn't the best decision," and I'm curious to see where she goes with that. Because for me, I'm actually like, that might be a good choice because you're out in public, and that would hopefully kind of make it so that they aren't going to have a big blow up in front of like other people. Or at least you can leave. You can be like, "Oh, we're done with dinner. We're going to leave."
You would think.
You would think?
You would
Okay.
think. I generally, if you said that divorced from this context, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good option. But like, yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
So I believe it was like 2021 or 2022. We were out to eat with my parents at a very, very fancy restaurant. And I'm just talking about how it's difficult to like make friends as an adult, which we all know. And how there's like not, because of capitalism, there's not a lot of like third spaces or community groups where it's easy to develop strong friendships. And where I am good at making individual friendships, my spouse has a harder time. And so I wanted to find like couple friends so that we could spend time with people all together, because I think that's easier for my spouse. And my mom kept suggesting to join a small group at a church. And then she was asking what church we were going to, and I was like, I had been, as the former golden child that I was, I had just been keeping it secret.
I definitely had a prolonged period of keeping it secret. I don't know if I would have called myself the golden child, but like faith was very important to me, and my parents were very like proud of me for keeping the faith and doing like service type projects and going to a Christian university. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it was like I had to keep that under wraps for around a year before I said anything. And like you were saying earlier, that takes a really serious toll on you.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I feel like with your parents, they saw the fact that you were keeping a secret as something that you were doing wrong.
Yeah.
And to that, I would say maybe question why you think, or why your child feels like they can't be genuine and authentic with you.
Absolutely.
Because if they feel like they can't say something because they're afraid of your reaction to it, or how, like just how you're going to emotionally react, maybe take a second and like think about that rather than jumping to like, oh, well, why? Like, you shouldn't have kept it secret from me.
Yeah.
You know?
But I respond specifically to the thing about the small group by saying, Mom, we're never going to join a small group. We're never going to go to church because we're both atheists. And you would think that I said that I had unalived somebody, because my mom immediately burst into hysterical tears. And what's really funny to me is I would not say that my parents are like fundamentalist Christians at all. I would say that they're Christians when it benefits them. And like growing up, I was definitely the most like fundamentalist Christian in our family, to the point where we get into arguments about stuff, because my parents were actually more relaxed than I was. But still, she only cares about Christianity when it comes to like salvation, or like I've never seen her actually model like a relationship with Christ sort of thing. She just kind of like existed while going to church. And also growing up, going to church with her, she would fall asleep during sermons every Sunday. So the irony of her losing her mind over this was hysterical. So she's like sobbing at this very fancy restaurant. The waiter keeps coming to take her order. She starts yelling at me, saying something along the lines of like, I can't believe you would do this to me. I can't believe all my children are going to hell. Like, it was bad enough that you all are gay. Because all of her kids are part of the LGBTQ plus community. But this is like next level. I can't handle it. Like, why would you tell me this right now and ruin our entire dinner? And I'm just sitting there like,
at that point, you should realize that they're selfish. They only care about them. Everything's all about them. That's all it's about.
You're acting like a child. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All Christians are children. Pastor Walt Landers, Megan Landers' dad, Lindsay Landers' dad, Erica Landers' dad. I know their family. Pastor Walt Landers is a sack of shit. And there's a woman whose name I'm not going to give, but she was driving me back home from my appointment. Therapist. Because I have mental health problems, mind you, just like anybody else does. And how should I say this? Megan's dad, Pastor Walt Landers, is, from what this woman told me, is a con artist. And he's a fraud and a fake. He preaches that God does this, God does that. But honestly, the sack of shit doesn't know what his God does if it hit him right in the balls. Pastor Walt Landers takes all the money from his donors, and he just uses it to improve his stupid ass church. He is very much like Joe Osteen and Kenneth Copeland. He's selfish, he's greedy, and guess what? Greed is a sin in Christianity. Yeah, let that sink in.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing?
My mother, bless her, she's still alive, but just saying, when I was going to TLC, she was giving hundreds of fucking dollars to TLC. It was called TLC Academy, but now it's just called Tree of Life Church. And if you are sending your child there, no. Call Pastor Walt Landers out. There are better schools to send your children to rather than just giving hundreds of fucking dollars, your hard-earned money that you work for, to somebody that's just going to use it to improve the church when he could be using it to help the homeless and feed the hungry.
This to me, like making it all about her, when it's like, lady, this doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Your kids being part of the LGBTQ plus community has nothing to do with you. Your kids not believing in God has literally nothing to do with you. And it's like, yeah, that is such a sign of emotionally immature parents. Like, I can't.
I have seen this type of thing happen so often to where it's like, well, this is just all about me now. The parents like, this is just about me. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you attacking me? And like, can't even have just a regular conversation. And we've seen that kind of throughout this video already. Seen that so often that I've kind of begun to wonder if emotionally immature people sometimes will be attracted to evangelical Christianity as a way to easily construct meaning, find answers, get structure, have order, slot themselves into a moral hierarchy without having to really do any work. Like basically it's kind of like a crutch for emotionally immature people. Obviously not everybody.
Yeah.
But I do kind of wonder if there is a trend, which is then revealed when they're kids leave, that like, oh, this was all about just propping you up because you have always been emotionally immature. It's not that like Christianity made you like emotionally immature.
Or it could be too that her parents are just people, and like specifically her mom is someone that is just very conforming to like society. And in American society, Christianity is the dominant religion. Most people are Christian.
It's slowly dying.
Like, 'cause she was saying like that her mom doesn't really, like, she's a Christian when it benefits her, and she doesn't really seem to care about it really that much otherwise, or have like a deep, genuine relationship with Christ. So I wonder if it's like her mom is like, oh, my kids are going to stand out now. They're not going to fit in with society. And like, that's really what's bothering her.
Yeah.
My belief system should not impact the way that you view me. And I think for anybody else who's deconstructed, you know that look that people get in their eyes. If they're Christian and you tell them that you're not a Christian, it's like they go dead in the eyes almost, and they no longer view you as being somebody who has any morality, because they think that Christianity is the objective truth and objective morality. And so if you don't even believe in like the salvation story of Christianity, then they think that your morality is skewed and you're incapable of having any sense of morality, even though morality is actually a subjective thing. Like, your morals are subjective, and then there's the societal morals that we've agreed upon to like make our society exist and thrive. Although I don't think I would say that our country's society is thriving, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I feel like at this point, just because I'm so like far removed from Christianity and have processed through a lot of stuff that for me, telling people that I'm not a Christian or telling people that I'm a Satanist, because that's a whole other thing than telling them that you're an atheist. And I am a Satanist. I get a little bit of a...
Okay, first of all, you can't call yourself a Satanist because the sigil of Lucifer isn't a Satanist. You calling yourself a Satanist, you having a Lucifer sigil necklace, and you calling yourself a Satanist. Satan and Lucifer are not the same. You can't call yourself a Satanist, sweetheart. All right, you can't. If anybody, let's Google something real quick. Well, yes, the sigil of Lucifer is related to Satanism, being both a symbol used in rituals and a modern emblem for many Satanists. It represents idea. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. How is it? Well, I read that in Luciferianism, which is what that symbol is, they don't recognize Lucifer as Satan. They don't. So why would you call yourself a Satanist?
A thrill out of like seeing that like fear in their eyes a little bit. But I think that's because I've been doing this for a long time. Obviously, this is what we do for our jobs. And it's like, it's funny to just see that. And like, I don't know. To me, it's like, why are you afraid? Like, there's literally no reason to be afraid of me. Like I just gave a talk at a at a Christian group at UT Austin, and like everybody there was super nice and like they were very like gracious and asking me to come talk about Satanism. But I did learn that they, I guess, blessed the building or the room or maybe prayed in it before I showed up as a Satanist.
Like they had like a priest come in and like bless the room.
Yeah, which I thought it was so funny because I'm like, you're blessing this for me? Like you're scared of me? Like I hate public speaking. I promise you that I'm more nervous coming here and actually public speaking than you are like nervous about like interacting with me.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just funny to me, I think.
Yeah. I've definitely had this happen to me a lot of times. You know, someone will directly praise my moral character and how I have like the fruits of the spirit and stuff like that, especially with, you know, working with kids as I did before doing YouTube. People will be like, oh, you know, you're so great with kids and blah, blah, blah. And I can see that you're such a good person. And like, you have a good relationship with Christ, I can tell. And then I like came out as an atheist and it, like immediately people started, like the same people who were saying those things were saying like, you don't live up to, you know, to morality, like to the right like standard of morality, and we can tell, and we know that you like did this and this,
like completely rewriting history.
Yeah, completely rewriting history, and or being like, oh, everybody in Drew's proximity needs to watch out because he has no handle on morality at all. And it's just like, I want to say like, motherfucker, before this you thought I was a better person than you because of my actions, and now because
my actions don't matter.
Yeah, my actions don't matter at all anymore. Like, how terrible is that?
That is really awful.
Yeah.
So this is continuing to happen the entire dinner. Like, she literally is crying on and off the entire thing about how all her kids are going to hell. She doesn't, like, understand what she did to deserve this. Like, the Bible says if you raise your kids in the church that even if they leave, they'll return. And so my spouse said that to her, like, if it's real, the Bible says this, so you don't have to worry because all your kids will return. Granted, we don't believe it's real, so of course we're not going to return. But, like, it just shows the dichotomy of, like, that belief system. And my dad was trying to be like diplomatic and was like, I would love to discuss with you all further like why you came to this conclusion, which means he wants to try to convince us that we're wrong. But at the very least, he wasn't like completely hysterical. But basically, both of them end up blaming me for the entire dinner being ruined when I literally just shared like a personal piece of information about me after pressure from my mom. And her reaction is what ruined the meal. I had to apologize for the waiters and waitresses.
Well, there are some groups in Luciferianism and Satanism and Satan. There are some groups in Luciferianism and Satanism that view Lucifer and Satan as the same. But given the fact that I have a Lucifer sigil hanging on my necklace, on one of my necklaces, hanging behind the goat meal there that I have, I don't see that Lucifer and Satan are the same. Sorry. I guess you can call me a Norse pagan / Luciferian. Yeah. Besides, Lucifer just sounds like, it doesn't sound, I don't know. For some reason, like if Lucifer means light bringer, then why is he called an enemy?
So many times because of my family's behavior, and we ended up leaving like an additional tip in addition to the tips my parents left because they often aren't great tippers, and I felt really, really bad for the way they had to deal with my mom's behavior and like the fighting that was going on at her table. I don't remember really much else about it because it was honestly traumatizing to be dealing with this in public. And I just remember that like I felt guilty, like I had done something wrong by sharing this piece of information about me. And did I share it hastily? Did I share it like out of frustration? Yes, but honestly I would say that like that still doesn't warrant the reaction that I got and the like guilt tripping and the shame and the hysterics from my mother.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, you know, I think the thing, too, is because she's like, oh, did I share it hastily? Yes. I actually don't think she did.
No.
Because, like, her mom was saying, oh, you know, you guys should go to church. You should find a small group. And she was just replying to that with, well, no, we don't actually believe in God. Like, that's not.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to do with you guys. I'm sorry. It's the holidays. I've been just chilling, surfing YouTube, watching things, especially watching the gameplay of the Forever Winter, which I will do a gameplay of, but I don't have it on me right now. I thought I bought a key for it, but it's actually an account that I bought, but I'm not going to use it because that's not what I wanted. And given the fact that I displayed the link to the account, I can't get my money back, so yeah. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're an evangelist and you're a Christian and you behave in any way, shape, or form compared to how the parents did in this, then you're the problem and you're an idiot. And we were all born free from our first breath. Yes, I got that from the movie King Arthur. Fucking kiss my ass for all I care. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and hit subscribe so that way we can get to 100 subscribers. We are not far from it. We are not far. If we went from 72 subscribers to 81, we can get to 100. But other than that, I'll see you guys after the holidays. Alright? Peace out.